Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the show and the start of another week. We're so happy to have you with us. This week's a big one for the government. First up, the government's polishing off its 2025-2026 budget with the Prime Minister and Minister of Finance to present the communication in the House of Assembly on Wednesday. Now, the Prime Minister met with senior private sector executives, including bankers, real estate developers, and members of the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and Employers Confederation earlier this month to assure the business community that the upcoming budget exercise will not be anti-business, but rather will be one that provides targeted tax incentives. Economic Affairs Minister, Senator the Honorable Michael Alcides, however, revealed a little bit more.
He will share some information on the financial performance of the government over the past year. He will give an update on how far we have come in terms of our medium-term plan to correct the public finances. And then he will give some forecasts on what we expect to happen over the coming year. Also in this presentation will be a report card, so to speak, on how we have performed against what we projected last year. And so I think, the public will be informed that, we are roughly on target with our projections. And he will give some update on some new initiatives that the government is doing. And as well, new incentives, new, goodies, like we like to call it in budget talk. But basically, he will give an update on how we performed, how we're projecting performance for the upcoming year.
All right, it's always exciting times, right? The budget, I remember as a journalist, young journalist, getting that sneak peek is always what you crave ahead of budget communication, although you're not going to get much because they're not going to tell you much. They want you to wait for the anticipated announcement from the Prime Minister and the Minister of Finance when he makes that communication. But we're told it should be pretty exciting. We all know the parameters surrounding this budget, right? It's the final budget pretty much for the government to have a full year to execute its plans, because the next budget communication will be right perhaps before elections if it goes right up to September. And so this is a budget where they have to get it done in order to approve and convince payment people to give them another time. So this could perhaps be what we call the sweet budget, right? The one where people get all the goodies. It's going to be interesting to see how that happens. Government has already begun speaking about the fact that they've been able to achieve some of the fiscal management prudences they were hoping to do. They were able to do it, and that means they have some leeway in doing what it is that they need to do. We'll find out just how true that is and to what extent do they have leeway. They have been very prudent in how they spend what they spend when it comes to being able to have cash flow and not wanting to borrow. But of course, we know in order to make some things happen, there's going to be some measures they have to take. But they're signaling good news. And so it'll be interesting to find out on Wednesday exactly what this good news is and how it's going to unfold. No doubt they're pulling out all stops on it. We're going to talk more about the budget in my next segment with my guests. And so I'll reserve the rest of my commentary on that for my interview coming up in the next segment. But on to some other news tonight. The government showcasing the Bahamas as a premier destination for investments as the countdown is on to the second annual Bahamas Business and Investments Forum this week in New York City. The forum taking place amid growing interest in investment opportunities here in the country, and organizers are hoping to capitalize on this. Colville Piperum is also traveling to New York City and provides us tonight with this preview of the two-day event.
To talk about real estate development, to talk about public-private partnerships, to talk about the financial services sector. And so we have invited a number of business leaders in the Bahamas, along with other members of the government, to come to New York to meet and to talk about our wonderful country.
There will be panel discussions on a number of topics that dive deeper into investment and business opportunities across a wide range of sectors. Interest in the forum for potential investors is encouraging, says Ambassador Jones.
We have done a very good job, I think, in advertising this forum And quite a number of investors or potential investors, people in the financial services sector, businessmen in the United States from a number of states have registered already to participate in the forum. And so we expect in excess of 200 or so potential investors to be attending this forum.
And the recent purchase of the Grand Lucayan Resort on Freeport, the ambassador says, offers proof that interest in the Bahamas is high. He hopes to build off that momentum at this week's forum.
The Bahamas is hot right now in the international community in terms of tourism, and we believe that the climate exists for foreign direct investment.
All right, Corville Pike from reporting there, and as you heard Corville say, it's going to be 2 days on Thursday and Friday. Bahamas Tonight will make history broadcasting our evening news for the first time out of the country in New York City. It should be an exciting time as we cover this forum and, of course, let you know exactly what the potential investors who will all sign up for it. Several hundred of them are keen on and what they're looking for when they go to the Bahamas. We're going to talk to some of them, and, of course, to the Bahamian officials who are going to be there promoting and pushing our country in investments, also in business and in tourism. It should be a comprehensive. Prime Minister's opening the forum on Thursday. That will be broadcast live from New York here on the ZNS Network beginning on Thursday at 8:30 a.m. We'll be broadcasting live that opening ceremony. And, of course, the Bahamas Tonight will come to you from New York Thursday evening and Friday evening, as well as Bahamas Tonight Access Now. So a big week for the Bahamas as it plays center stage on one of the world's global stage in New York City this week. Well, after 5 months of meeting nearly every week, the Parliamentary Human Rights Committee is sharing its initial findings with the public. Felicity Darville has all the details in this next report.
The Parliamentary Human Rights Committee is prioritizing the establishment of the Commission and Secretariat from the Protection Against Violence Act. They plan to address public misinformation surrounding CEDAW, the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. Senator Michael Barnett Ellis said that of priority for the committee is accessibility and mobility for people with disabilities, providing healthcare access for vulnerable groups, and increasing Family Island inclusion.
We will strive to be bold in our commitment and clear in our mission. The work of this committee must reflect the diversity of our people and the equality of their worth, no matter what island they call home.
Minister Pia Glover-Roll adds that they will be addressing severe staff shortages in providing social services.
There is a severe shortage of trained human resources across our social services landscape. In response, the committee will recommend key interventions to support recruitment and training of additional social workers and crisis specialists to manage the growing demand for family support and intervention services.
The committee is also reviewing existing legislation, including the Ombudsman Act, the Protection and Care of Older Persons Bill, and the Education Act. They're also advising the implementation of a national identity card. Dr. Eresia Hepburn Forbes said that they want to accelerate the completion of the National Development Plan and establish formal protocols for information sharing.
A lot of our organization operates in silos, and in order to ensure that we have continuous information sharing to break down some of those silos, the goal is to establish formal protocols, maybe committees and other working groups.
Across political divides, members of the Parliamentary Human Rights Committee are putting differences aside to find common ground on the fundamental human rights that should be equally guaranteed to all Bahamians. For the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Felicity Darville.
Well, labor unions, political parties, and other organizations. The Labor Day Parade, traditionally a big deal here in the Bahamas, but this year's June 6th event is expected to look a bit different, and it has everything to do with the Trade Union Congress raising alarm over unresolved labor disputes and the government's alleged inaction, citing deep dissatisfaction with the government's failure to deliver on key elements of a memorandum of understanding, declaring that despite supposed progress, less than 10% of the MOU commitments have actually been fulfilled, ranging from the resolution of outstanding industrial agreements to improve working conditions and clearer union recognition policies. Now, while government officials have previously shared shared that most of the items have been addressed. Ferguson said the reality on the ground tells a very different story. It's interesting, you know, because we've discussed this before, right? And I'm going to discuss it again, and we'll discuss it some more next week when the minister appears on the show. But the TUC is deciding that they're not going to participate because of inaction by the government, right? Now, I'm not going to get involved and say what I really would like to say, because I think there is a bit of reality that needs to come into play with when you say the government has not fulfilled its obligations, because fulfilling obligations and giving you what you think you want or should get, two different things. There has been an art of compromise and understanding. And I agree. I believe that unions ought to be able to have some art of getting what's rightfully theirs from government. But we have sat around this table repeatedly talking about it and talking about, well, what's really outstanding. And some of the matters are not resolved because they seem impossible and there is no willing of compromise. And so at the end of the day, if on Labor Day, which should represent workers celebrating the fact that they are workers in this country, and you choose not to celebrate that because you believe it will send a message or spite the government, tells me that you don't understand the purpose of Labor Day. Labor Day should never, in my view, be used as a form of being disgruntled, I should say, or because we ain't satisfied with what's going on, we ain't gonna show up. No. This day is designed to celebrate you. So it's like almost saying, because I'm at odds with somebody, I have my birthday party. Isn't that what it's like? The day is to celebrate you. Why not celebrate it? Because it's all about you and your efforts. It is a perfect platform if you want to come out there and express your concern to do that. But to say that you won't be a part of it only hurts you, because it's a day to celebrate you. It's a day to honor workers in this country, to honor unions in this country, and people who have worked very hard to get our country to where it is today on the labor front. And so withdrawing your support, to me, doesn't send the right message. And hopefully the TUC will reconsider that, because I believe there are other ways to get what it is that you're hoping to get other than withdrawing your support. At the end of the day, it just hurts you. The NCTUB will be out there. Persons out there will be celebrating workers in this country and the rights of workers in this country. And at the end of the day, not being out there really just hurts you. That's my 5 cents on it. I'll talk about it some more next week when the labor minister comes, and we'll see what the reality is. What are the issues? What is it that the labor movement is saying, or should I say the TUC is saying, is so egregious that they cannot be out on Labor Day? What is it? We're going to go through it. We're going to go through it and see what are they complaining and saying has not been done. The government, they're saying the government has not lived up to its obligation in the MOU. Okay, let's see how and let's see why. And if your point is valid, then the country will see it. But if we go through it and we recognize that things are being done and discussions are being held, then where do you stand on it? But we'll give both sides the opportunity to be able to express themselves and be able to say why they take the stand that they take, and hopefully we'll all understand it. Well, tonight, we've got more insight on the details of the government's 2025-26 budget. While the majority of the budget is drafted by the Ministry of Finance, the Office of the Prime Minister plays a crucial role in budget development as well. The OPM's Director of Communications will offer what information he can on what the Prime Minister will announce this Wednesday. So we're going to be talking about that. Speaking of the Office of the Prime Minister, auditions for the Creative and Performing Arts School, better known as CAPAS, ended last week. Project lead Ian Poitier is in the building to tell us what's next for the School of Creative and Performing Arts. And if you haven't heard yet, we always like to highlight positive news on the national network. The National Primary School Student of the Year ceremony is this coming weekend coming up. The event honors those primary school students who go above and beyond in the classroom. We're going to talk about that and who's going to be honored and what you can expect. You'll see it live on this network because that's what we do. We support the future. Stay with us. The Rundown returns on the ZNS network right after this break. Stay close.
I am a master plumber by profession. I've been doing plumbing for over 40 odd years. When I was 9 months old, I was diagnosed with polio. To me, living with polio, I took it the way it is. I never allowed my polio to get in my way of anything. In fact, I love when people doubt me, and I just prove them wrong. And let me tell you, in the world, you could only find a plumber as good as me, but you ain't gonna find no plumber better than me. People with disability, they just need a chance. In this program, I feel so encouraged. Most of the mentors have different kind of disability, but disabilities like me. Sharing and caring and showing so much support with people with disability. They would encourage you to go beyond. I wish this was around a long time ago. Right now, I would have been a millionaire. You out there who have a disability, don't be afraid. Take the step. If you believe it, you could achieve it. And remember one thing, ain't no one better than me, and ain't no one better than y'all. God made all us equal.
For more information about how the SBDC can help your small business to make a big impact, give us a call at 461-7232 or visit sbdcbahamas.com.
You've got termites and need to get rid of them fast? Trust Rentokil Initial. With over 60 years experience in the Bahamas, the global brand, training, and expertise can't be beat. Only Rentokil Initial gives you a 3-year warranty and payment plan options on termite fumigation. No one can match the range of treatments we offer, such as fumigation, pre-construction treatments, termite monitoring, and more. No matter where you are in the Bahamas, we will come to you. When it comes to complete termite eradication, there's only one name, Rentokil Initial.
Bahamas Striping Group of Companies, we have been in Exuma now for the past 4 years, carrying out our paving program. A part of our company's philosophy is to do some work to international standards. So when you look at our paving division, we have a state-of-the-art lab to do all of our testing in-house, as well as a state-of-the-art asphalt plant with a trained technician carrying out the work on that site. The overall action goal of our company is to produce the work that we're doing in the entire Bahamas to international standards. We also make a difference by the training of our staff. We have a very intensive training program going on to where we are teaching young men how to learn the art of striping. Being a young man myself, I've made mistakes in the past. I was given a second chance to better my life, and it's only fitting that we pass it along. What's important for us is giving them a second chance for them to get a skill and a career that could take them further in life.
Hello, I'm Mario Nuri. It's never too early to prepare for a hurricane, and we want to make sure our community is always ready. So we invite you to join us for another A Familiar Walk, Step Towards Hurricane Preparedness, with special guests, Lisa Pinder, Director General, Dr. Trevor Johnson of the Bahamas Red Cross, Disaster Risk Management Authority representatives, and Charles Johnson of J.S. Johnson Insurance Agents and Brokers. So do join us and stay weather aware.
And welcome back to the Rundown. A special good evening to all of you in the lines. And I see you there. I see your comments. And then, of course, those of you who are joining us on your various platforms, whether it's Flow TV, BTC, whether you're in the Turks and Caicos on your various platforms around the region or around the world, it's always a pleasure to have you with us. Welcome to the Rundown. Thank you for being here tonight. We are indeed glad to have you with us. Well, the country will be glued into the House of Assembly this Wednesday as Minister of Finance, Prime Minister, the Honorable Philip Davis, will deliver the 2025-2026 budget communication in the House of Assembly. Now, at the start of the current budget, the revenue estimate was $3.54 billion. Expenditure estimated was about $3.61 billion, and the projected deficit was $69.8 million. While the government always remains mum on the details of any new budget, joining us virtually tonight is the Office of the Prime Minister's Director of Communications, Latrey Ramming. Latrey, great to have you with us. I know this is a busy time for OPM. I know that from experience, so I'm happy to have you here. Talk to us. I know there's a lot banking on this particular budget. Many people describe this as the budget because, of course, it leads right into what many people call the election season. What can people expect right off the top with this particular budget?
I think, Clint, I think you said it best. The government started from a place of very difficult economic circumstances. The theme for the government budget this year is expanding opportunities island by island. It really speaks to government really wanting to create a very inclusive environment for Bahamians. The Prime Minister will articulate a vision where Bahamian people see themselves in the country's progress and national development. I think there's going to be a lot of good news, a lot of historical news coming from the Minister of Finance and Prime Minister. But what Bahamians can expect is the government to invest in security, expanding opportunities, making sure that affordability is a key priority of the government, and especially continuing its reform on a number of areas.
We saw headlines today in the newspapers. The Minister responsible for Economic Affairs, Honorable Senator Michael Halkitis, talk about the fact that no new taxes, but yet government was, and that's because the government was able to achieve its target with fiscal prudence and bringing some targets into play. Talk a little bit about that and the fact that how the government was able to do pretty much this over a period of time without having to increase taxes in this new budget.
I think it was a matter of compliance. The government focused its methods on broader compliance and improving compliance and efficiency. As you're aware, the government did introduce a number of taxes, not on a domestic front, but focusing on foreign and high earners. So the government has been able to make significant progress on the revenue side with improved compliance. You have the new domestic corporate tax that's going to result in a lot of economic gains for the government. And so I think it was a combination of different methods that the government used on the revenue enhancement side, and none required the government introduce the taxes on the backs of Bahamian people. If you remember, Clint, there was a recommendation to the government to increase VAT by 15%. The government and the Prime Minister decided to go in the opposite direction, going from 12% to 10%, and now a number of those items are at 5%. And so I think this has been a lot of discipline on behalf of the Prime Minister and his team at the Ministry of Finance. And they're going to be able to say to the country that they have accomplished a lot of things and a lot of firsts for this administration and a independent government of the Bahamas.
One of the key areas, I see your topic focusing really, or really what you're calling the budget, expanding on opportunities island by island. And that's the question. Are we going to see some opportunities there for family islands? People always say sometimes it's still New Providence centric, even though that's the hub of the population. But what can you tell us we can expect to see for some of these family islands?
I think the Prime Minister understands, particularly especially where you have the Prime Minister, say, a Member of Parliament from the Family Islands, and you have a Deputy Prime Minister who's a Member of Parliament from the Family Islands. They understand that to drive economic growth, that has to be done, a part of it has to be done through our Family Island, particularly on the infrastructure side. As you're aware, there has been a lot of talk around developing of our airports, infrastructure, and creating the kind of economic infrastructure like that's going to allow for this continued economic growth, particularly in islands like Eleuthera and islands like Bimini, islands like Abaco. So you're going to see a much concentrated focus from the government on how we could create the environment that complements the economic growth that we are experiencing on a number of these islands. And I think a huge chunk of that, Clint, will be through improving the infrastructure on the Family Islands.
The opposition, no doubt, will be listening very intensely because they recognize what this budget is and what this budget is set up to do. And their criticisms, no doubt, will be made perhaps a little too late, a little too late, perhaps, is what they're going to come out with. Do you see it as that? Do you see this as a budget that might perhaps be too late and to do too much in order to position the country where it needs to be for an election?
I think that the opposition's biggest claim is we're not cleaning up the mess they've left behind fast enough. I think what's important to know is that the government The country's in a very stable hands, made a lot of economic gains. Everything that the FNM said couldn't be done is being done. I think when you look at the contrast between what the FNM has accomplished versus the PLP, you will see very clearly that the economic future of the country is better in the hands of this current administration. But the opposition have to be the opposition. We all, what the Prime Minister said it himself. Unfortunately, what's good for the country is bad for the FNM. And I think that it would be, we are prepared to have a very candid, open and honest, transparent debate and be able to say that this is our approach to economic development. Let's see yours, and to examine what the FNM has been able to accomplish between 2017 and now.
Bahamians have suppressed concerns initially coming into this year of what they thought were some of the issues and areas that needed addressing. Crime, the cost of living, energy, just some of the main areas there that they thought the government should give considerable attention to. Give an analysis on what do you believe the government has done to address these key areas for the Bahamian people: crime, the cost of living, and of course energy.
I think you look at, let's take the issue of crime. We don't talk about it, but we've seen tremendous progress in the area crime, especially in serious crime. You've seen a very downward number in comparisons in the area of murder. The government has made significant investment in technology, and we're seeing the results of those programs being able to make a significant dent in armed robberies and vehicular robberies and being able to solve those issues much quickly. And then you have the government's Clear Hold Bill initiative that's really bringing and building the relationship between the community and the police. We're seeing tremendous gain from this. We're also seeing results in these very hardened criminal areas. Of course, this administration was really confronted with a situation of dealing with an organization that is going through its reputational challenges and be able to restore its leadership under the leadership of Commissioner Shanta Knowles, and to really rebuild confidence in our organizations and institutions. We've seen the government make progress in particularly the issue of corruption, with the establishment of the independent investigation body to investigate claims. And as you can see, just recently we've heard further allegations of police involvement. So it shows that the government is building the infrastructure, giving the police officers the resources they need, whether it's vehicles, whether it's investment in technology, whether it's the right leadership for this moment, and whether it's making sure that we go into our areas, clear out criminal activity, criminal elements, rebuild safer communities, and really investing in their long-term security. On the issue of energy reform, this government launched one of the largest energy reforms in the history of the Bahamas. We've been able to do it whilst the BPL was plagued with a huge debt, and consumers are now seeing those low energy bills. On the, I think you said crime,
cost of living, yeah.
Cost of living. The second thing is, one, the government has had a sustained focus on getting Bahamians into homes with this rent-own program, ensuring that a person who wants to aspire to housing, that goal and that dreams and reach. And secondly, reducing the costs at the grocery counter, ensuring that Bahamian families could pay less on the issue of VAT. We've had a very consolidated and sustained effort in the government's diversification, trade diversification, ensuring that we could purchase goods from new source markets at a very cost-intuitive price. And so we've increased minimum wage. We've built on, as you can see, we've had a number of union agreements which giving our workers their fair benefits. And so, Clint, I think the overall message is that this is an administration that has done a lot, understand it has a lot to do, and will communicate to the Bahamian people that there's a lot to lose if this leadership is not sustained. However, despite this economic progress, despite the wins we are making as an administration, the Prime Minister is aware that there are Bahamian families that are still hurting, and his focus is to bring relief to those families.
as we begin to wrap up, I want to take it back to the budget. There's always been the concern over the past year of cash flow within government. Budgets have been tight. Ministries, departments, agencies always are competing with Ministry of Finance and the Treasury to get that money because it's been just operating. One of the strategies has been operating out of the cash flow and not having to borrow, not having to go and get it because you wanted to bring the credit of the country and bring the debt down into proportion. How are you addressing that? Is there going to be now the opportunity to borrow to get some money in the system, or the government's still going to operate out of its own cash supply?
Clint, what I can say, and I will say that this budget is going to be historic for many reasons, and I won't preempt the Minister of Finance. He has some very good news that he will say to the country, and it's something that obviously, whilst he will be proud to say it, he will be cognizant that there are a lot of Bahamians that need to get relief too. What I can say is that this is going to be the administration that's going to invest in the priorities that meet Bahamian families.
On a lighter note, what's happening right now in the office of the Prime Minister over the next few days as you await that that long, intense, big speech? And give us a peek. About how many pages we're looking at this go around?
So I could tell you the first draft document is at 72 pages. And
72 pages.
And small font, in a very small font size, and that's only in the first draft of the document. And so you could imagine, if you've been a part of this process now, we have not really begun to go to the second draft of that document. So Office of the Prime Minister, as you're aware, are working along with Ministry of Finance and asking those questions and making sure that when the Prime Minister do speak, it's a message that Bahamian people look forward to. It's a very intense process. As you're aware, this process takes up to 2 months, but ministries negotiating with the Ministry of Finance to get it to the very final document. Cabinet met this morning to approve the expenditure measures, and you aware of those meetings, Clint? That's the meeting. Yeah. Ministers would argue for why they need more, and
exactly.
I think the argument is always there's one pie, and we got to make sure that we are fair to the government priorities.
All right. Well, Latrey Ramming, Director of Communications Office of Prime Minister, thank you for talking with us tonight. Of course, we're anticipating to hear this communication on Wednesday. As you say, deliver the pie for the Bahamian people. Thank you for joining us tonight.
That's clear.
All right. Stay with us when we come back tonight. We've heard about the expansion of the orange economy. Well, CAPAS, do you know what that means? Is the School of the Performing Arts, Creative and Performing Arts School. And of course, the person responsible for creating that, Ian Poitier, will be here to talk about getting creatives involved in what is expected to be career transformation. We're back right after this tickles.
The internet isn't just for surfing. There's a sea of shoppers buying online, and you can connect with them on Tingsy. Tingsy is the SBDC's online storefront built for Bahamians. Take your business to the next level by selling to customers online, both at home and around the world. People want Bahamian things, and if you got things to sell, sell on Tingsy. Find out how you can connect with a sea of buyers by visiting tingsybahamas.com.
For us at the Myers Group of restaurants, we found that we have a pretty large portion of our employment pool that had difficulty getting bank accounts.
The issue we had previously was just getting cash, getting funds on the island. And with only one working ATM, the idea of the sand dollar just in being digital, and everybody has a smartphone nowadays. It actually works into our favor.
The sand dollar was like a godsend because it allowed us to add it to our payroll system, which means we're able to send their money to the sand dollar wallet.
It's still a bank transfer because you get an account number. So from the employer side of things, all I have to do is send your funds just as usual.
It opens up our pool for us to be able to hire some of the people that we couldn't hire before because they were unable to open bank accounts. This has been a really good solution.
The internet isn't just for surfing. There's a sea of shoppers buying online, and you can connect with them on Tingsy. Tingsy is the SBDC's online storefront built for Bahamians. Take your business to the next level by selling to customers online, both at home and around the world. People want Bahamian things, and if you got things to sell, sell on Tingsy. Find out how you can connect with a sea of buyers by visiting tingsybahamas.com.
Welcome back to the show. Well, Campus, you may have heard of it. It's a creative and performing arts school, and it's dedicated to providing holistic education in the arts, offering programs in music, dance, theater, and visual arts. Campus emphasizes individual expression and helps students develop their unique artistic voice, whether you're just starting out or looking to refine your craft. Now, many Bahamians took advantage of last week's Campus auditions in acting, singing, and dance. Campus project lead Ian Poitier is on the show tonight to fill us in on exactly how it all went down. Ian, welcome. It's good to see you.
Thank you, thank you.
Listen, so this is actually happening. I'm excited that this is actually happening. It once was a vision, then it became, okay, we're going to do. Now it's actually happening.
It's actually happening. Since independence, we've been talking about the need for a creative and performing arts school to give creative people some real formal discipline training to prepare them for full-time careers in performing arts. One of the challenges has been, apart from the training, is that we don't have a structured sector. So any sensible parent is going to say, why are you studying this? You're not going to have a job to go to. So part of the brief in setting up the school is also to start to fashion career paths for people, what to do afterwards. But we had a magnificent 3 days. It's on top of the 3 days we had last weekend. 2 days of acting and singing auditions and 1 day of dance auditions.
You got to tell me how it went. How did it go?
It went extremely well. I don't know where to start. I have all the time in the world for passionate, committed people, and people showed up a lot with a lot of nerves and terror and apprehension, not knowing, you know, what the process would hold. And we'd said nice things and said it's going to be fine or whatever, but you still never know. A lot of people were frightened about the movement. They thought, I don't have, 10 years of ballet behind me. But people came, people really committed. We had some issues. We had to start late one day because we couldn't get into the studio. People stayed and waited. But I know what to tell you. I broke my professional rule for the first time.
Which is?
I cried during somebody's audition.
You cried?
I was so moved. And I didn't think that they saw me, but they did. But I was so impressed and moved. The voice, the passion, the commitment, and I knew the person was very anxious about the audition. It's just one of the best things I've ever seen. And to see somebody overcome their nerves and deliver their best, I was so moved. And I've been around a long time. Wow. I was so moved. And I mean, that was at the far end. But so many people, it's such a cliche, people say there's a lot of talent. Talent really, when it shows up and wants to professionalize it and dedicates and kind of provides the discipline, that's another level. And we saw that. We had people, the youngest was 17, just about to start 18.
Wow.
The oldest was 55.
Really?
A lot of people in their 30s and 40s. Almost 50-50 male to female, which surprised me. And people are very clear about why they're doing this and what they want from it. But you see that this is, you do this kind of thing because you have to. Like, there's just something in you that says, this is my life, this is the world I'm drawn to. And people understand it's not about fame or celebrity, it's about what you wake up to every day. And that's what we saw with people in the room. I can't tell you how grateful I am. I mean, the school is, it's going to be real, but it isn't real yet. So people are showing up on trust and faith. Right. And I take that responsibility so seriously, not just me, the entire team. They show up, we have to deliver. And we're very, very clear about that.
Let's talk about delivering on this. Where's the school? This is beginning in September.
September.
Where is it going to take place?
So the main campus will be Phil's Supermarket on Gladstone Road. Yeah. We're refurbishing that building, which is huge.
It's actually taking place now?
The refurbishment's starting. We need studios, basically, which are empty rooms with sprung floors.
So it shouldn't be too hard to
It's not that hard to do. Bunks and pianos in there. Yeah. We've got reception and offices and all of that. But it's not complicated. What you want is adaptable studios. Everything won't be ready in terms of the big picture on day one. Right. But we'll certainly have the studios that we need. We've worked out that we can provide enough studios for the first cohort, and we still have more than twice as much size left to the rest of what we need. Wow. The space is enormous. Ultimately, we want to have proper landscape gardens and nice sort of creative spaces outside and so on. But guess what? creative people don't need formal, expensive spaces.
I was about to say, yeah.
Start in a hut. Peter Brook was a very famous theatre director, wrote a book called The Empty Space. And it's about how, in theatre especially, you create magic through the imagination. It's what people imagine it to be. If you've been to the Dundas in the last couple of years when their main house wasn't open, they had a black box, and that's all you need. You just need a space to do the thing. But we want better than that. This is professional level training. We want industry-supported equipment and spaces. And when we get to the other sort of non-performing courses, so that's writing, directing, producing, or the technical ones, lights, camera, sound, hair, makeup, whatever, you need a certain amount of equipment and so on. So all of that is to come. But we're in a good place.
So obviously that means you've identified people who will teach these courses, who are skilled in these courses.
In part. The staff recruitment actually starts now. So there are a couple of kind of chicken and egg situations. You need to confirm what you're teaching and then how many are teaching it. So we didn't know who was going to come through the door. It might have been a bunch of people who want to sing, so then you have to recruit kind of against that. We're going to be releasing a lot more information, I should say releasing, we're publishing a lot more information this week on the overview of the whole project, but also specifically the syllabus. We've been developing that in the last many months. It's broken down into modules. We have timetables ready. We know we're good to go. If we have the numbers that seem to have, based on the last 2 weekends, we'll run, I think, 4 streams. So there'll be 4 groups working simultaneously on any given things. We've got a full-time course, which is about 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. every day.
Wow.
And then we have 2 part-time courses, which is 6 to 9 p.m. on 2 evenings a week and half a day on the weekend.
So people don't have to be in the school full-time. You can work and still take evening
absolutely.
classes.
That's why it's designed. So you, Clint, could record this show.
If I could ever find an hour in my evening?
Yeah, you know, you record the show during the day, you come in the evening, you can do your acting Monday, Wednesday evening from 6 till 9, and then Saturday morning.
Wow.
Or you do your dancing and singing Tuesday, Thursday evening, and then 2 till 5 on a Saturday afternoon. We can make it work. You know, this is... we want to have as many access points as possible. And so that's why we're trying to just be as flexible and as generous with the timing and scheduling to allow people to be able to join us.
For those who believe, okay, well, this is starting out, so maybe they're not going to be recognized, maybe people won't know, maybe they don't have the kind of support. Talk a little bit about what kind of international support that you are building for this school and the kind of feeder system that could possibly come out of this.
Yep. So it's incredible. We have partnered with the United Talent Agency, which is one of the top 3 Hollywood agencies.
Wow.
And that partnership is already just, I mean, giving us an abundance. They're helping to design the modules and the courses. They're going to supply some of their talent to teach, masterclasses, workshops, and so on. They invited me to meet with them a couple of weeks ago. I was in LA. I met all the senior people in the agency. The founding partner committed not just the talent, but agency staff.
Wow.
And when I say agency staff, I'm talking about people who run studios.
Correct.
Half the Oscars you watched last year will be their clients.
Wow.
John Baptiste is over at Bahama is one of their clients. Lizzo was here a couple of weeks ago. I mean, it's just like everybody you know. We will have access to these people. The other part of the partnership is about what happens afterwards. So once people graduate from campus, they'll be put onto a production register, and all their talent will know these people are qualified to work on your show, to work on your whatever. So consider them an industry standard. We're also bringing productions in. So already in advanced negotiations on 4 or 5 productions, I think.
Wow.
One has been greenlit for a major studio, who everyone would know, and we're now actually looking at locations. They have 123 crew positions, and so we're looking very soon after we start to train people to do those crew jobs. So when they come here, it's not just going to be about driving and making cups of coffee, although that's important as well. It's about having sustainable skills so that people can then move on to the next thing. Many years ago when I worked in advertising in London, I saw this model in Cape Town, especially in South Africa, and we shot a lot of commercials there because you had local crews who were so well trained and the weather was stable. They have 12 hours of sunshine a day, so you got good shooting times, all that kind of stuff. We've got like the weather and the look. One of the conversations I had in LA was about how do we position the Bahamas as the tropical destination of choice for filmmakers. We need to do some stuff. We need to provide better infrastructure, studios and so on, but we have so much to offer already. So that international partnership, which is your question, is paying dividends. It goes even further than that, and we have partnerships in Europe. We're developing some in Africa, early stage, and in the Caribbean. We've already had one Caribbean country phone up and say, please, can we send some of our people to train with you? few.
Really?
Because we don't want to send them to the States. And I said, well, this is a little bit early, we're just starting. And they said, we've got a lot of events going on, we need people to do sound and stage management and so on. I said, well, let me see if I could squeeze in a couple. How many do you want? And they said 50.
Wow.
And this is somebody who works for one of the regional prime ministers. I don't want to say who it is. And they said, actually, what I'm calling you for is to get a number to put in our budget. The demand is there, the hunger is there. And very soon and very quickly will be a center of excellence in the Caribbean.
That's exciting.
That's just within our grasp. You know?
Exciting. I have asked the question, because people always ask when it's time for education, will it cost them something?
For students, for every Bahamian, it's free.
What?
F-R-E-E free. No cost, zero payment free.
No hidden fees?
No hidden fees. So the government of the Bahamas has decided that as a matter of policy, tertiary education will be free for Bahamians. So with UB, BTVI, BAMSI, it's all free. Now, there are living costs associated with that, and so I'm already fundraising for student care packages. How much does it cost for accommodation and travel and food and getting your outfits and everything? So putting that together, because I don't want that to be an obstacle either. And people get it. You know, I'm talking to wealthy people and companies and so on, and I say, can you sponsor a student for a year to get them through? And people are very open to the idea. So I'm hoping to be able to say a lot more about that soon. But the cost itself is free. Free, 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 free. Real free.
You must be very excited about this.
No. Just really chill, really relax. I mean,
that's funny. That's funny. This is amazing.
It's great,
absolutely amazing.
You know, and it's. I just saw communities building, people supporting each other outside on the line, people really helping each other, people going through lines, people kind of really cheering each other on, you know, and that's what it's about. Amazing things are going to come out of those connections, the relationships that are being formed already. The buzz from me is this is the cornerstone to the creative economy we've talked about.
Yes.
You train the talent, you support the talent, you develop the talent, and then all the stuff you build afterwards just flows. You know, the buildings will work because you've got talented people in them. The spaces will work because of that. The economy will flow because you've got really talented, skilled people doing it. And for a lifetime, you know, cradle to grave.
That's absolutely amazing. Ian Poitier, thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We're
congratulations to me. It's everybody.
Well,
there's a ton of people.
There you go. You've been doing the heavy lifting, though. It is what it is. We look forward to seeing this school successful and helping so many people who are ready to embrace this sector of our economy. Thank you again. Stay with us when we come back on The Rundown. We're going to talk about some very young people who are just not ordinary young people. They're the brightest and the best stars in primary schools. This weekend, the Primary School Student of the Year. We're going to talk about what we can expect. The Rundown back after this. Stay close.
We're here at the Nassau Village Community Center project, where over the past 17 months, we've hired over 20 Bahamian subcontractors to bring this beautiful project to fruition.
I've been living in Nassau Village for more than 19 years, and to see a project like this brings great joy and pride to me.
This state-of-the-art multi-purpose community center will serve as a crime-fighting initiative in the community, also help with the education of our kids in this community, and a hurricane shelter.
Yeah, and it also shows what we as Bahamians can achieve when we work hand in hand with each other.
We have the technical know-how, and we can pretty much deliver on any project here in the Bahamas or in the world.
Bahamas Stripe and the Bahamian Company, they prove that they believe in Bahamians.
Based on the outcome of this project, I don't think they're disappointed in giving a small person an opportunity to do a job such as this.
The more opportunity they get, the more opportunity we will get.
If you look around and see the work done so far, it just shows what we as Bahamians can do.
Finally tonight, the Bahamas Primary School Student of the Year Awards program recognizes outstanding 6th grade students in schools across the country. Get this, since 1997, the program has awarded $3 million in scholarships and in prizes. This year's event is set for May 30th and 31st, that's this weekend, with a medal presentation, a fun day, and the actual award ceremony that will be aired right here live on the ZNS TV network on Saturday. Bahamas Primary School Student of the Year Foundation Chairman Van Dyke Pratt and Senior Program Officer Mavis Colley are with us tonight to talk about this big deal. I call it big deal because we put emphasis on all of what's going on in the country, whether it's good or bad. But this is good news. This here is good news. Definitely. And I want to welcome you to the show. Great to have both of you.
Thank you for having us.
Boy, when people talk about Bahamas Primary, while I was talking and prepping about this, one of our on-air anchors said, yeah, I remember that. I was a part of that in primary school. I said, what? That's how long it's been around?
Awesome. We didn't know who that is.
yeah, and I was like, really? She's like, yeah, I was a part of it in primary school. And it just shows really the value of what this foundation is about. It's more than just giving people scholarships and awards, but it really has become a legacy organization. Let's talk about really the purpose of this institution, which has been around for what, 28
Since
years?
1997.
Wow.
29 years.
All right.
This is our 29th year. Yeah. And really the purpose was to recognize that segment of the student population that previously were being unrecognized. And at that age and stage, I think it's very vital to be able to reinforce and inculcate the right habits and activities for them to really go ahead and continue to strive and to know that doing well is cool. Doing well does have its rewards. Doing well is something to strive for and not to be ashamed of. And I think that was one of the things that really had that impetus to really cause there to be a legacy. And like you said, it is a legacy. And it's such a strong legacy that you know your program is having supreme impact when the students come back and they pour into the program. And so we've had so many testimonials like that. In fact, to be honest with you, even some of our executive board members now within the past 5 to 7 years, former nominees.
Wow.
And so that shows the tremendous impact that the program has on the actual society and moving forward.
Do you believe that we need to reward success and good things more in this country than we do? Because we have so many phenomenal students who are doing so well, but they go unchecked or unnoticed or unsung because we're so busy focusing on maybe the issues or the problems.
I definitely think that we can never emphasize enough the good or the impact of programs such as the Primary School Student of the Year. And yes, we could never focus enough on those students who are doing well. Like you said, you know, the spotlight a lot of times, too many times, is given to those who stray and fall by the wayside. And if you really look at the statistics, you realize that it's a small few of them, but they certainly seem to capture the headlines. And it may have been shortly after I left the business, I said, I wish we would do more. I wish the headlines will shout more of the good stuff. And they'll sell more papers. One thing you find with parents and
they're
families,
going to support their children. You put the child in the paper, the whole family want a copy.
And so why aren't we doing more of that? And, you know, Van Dyke mentioned the fact that we have students coming back, and this sets the stage. We've seen our honorees, our nominees excel in high school. Those are the ones who are getting the top awards. You know, our executive director, Brother Ricardo DeVoe, I hope that is not true. He often pulls them in and brags when he sees them doing well at high school, and then they're the standouts at college.
So it continues. It doesn't stop at the end of the year.
It does not stop.
It doesn't stop.
And, you know, when we look at statistics, you mentioned that from throughout the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, we have, how many? We have, what, 54 from New Providence.
Providence, yes.
A total of 118. Wow. 54 from New Providence. 60 the rest?
Family Islanders.
Family Islanders.
Family Islanders.
Yeah.
Wow.
70 from public schools.
Wow.
The rest, private schools.
Wow, that's amazing.
We are touching, and listen, they don't wait for us. You know, we have some criteria in place as to, you know, what makes a good nominee and what completes an application. But parents are approaching the foundation.
Yes,
really? Yes. Because they want to know what I need to do to make sure my child is qualified for this.
Yes. Now, mind you, it's always the school
Right, because they choose a representative.
Will choose their own representative, but we have a criteria, very stringent criteria that they go by, and they all know. So, for instance, their academic records go back from 3rd grade straight through first semester of 6th grade.
Really?
Yes. They have to present a full portfolio. And that portfolio would contain the academic records. It would contain anything that they do in extracurricular activities, because we also focused on trying to have a well-rounded student, not just one-dimensional, because life is not one-dimensional.
Exactly.
So we're looking at them being brought up to be good corporate citizens, to have a social conscience about themselves, and then also to be involved in other things. So you would have sporting activities, religious activities, brigade, all sorts of different things that they're involved in, and so they provide evidence that they've been involved in these things over the years, and also at what level, what they've achieved in these things. So it's not just merely just the academics. Even though academics is always paramount, we look at the whole thing, and we're not judges. Now, we have an independent panel of judges.
And the decision is?
Final. And so...
How do you manage? Because, you know, in Bahamas, when it comes to competitions and judging, there's always seems to be controversy. But I've never really heard, unless y'all do a great job of keeping it quiet, I've never seen there seem to be dissension after the winner is chosen, or people being upset or arguing and saying, well, my child was qualified. Do you have that, and how do you handle that?
I think, Clint, it has a lot to do with organization, preparation, and there are no unknowns, okay? We spell out everything.
Yes.
We spell out everything. We have the independent panel of judges. We tell you that this is what you have to do. This is the time frame in which you must do it. We've had portfolios that have been a little unwieldy in the past, and so we have some parameters around what that portfolio must look like. You know, no mechanical objects, no multi-dimension, like dimension.
Really?
Nothing popping up.
Is that all that?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
Wow.
So we have some very stringent guidelines by which the nominees and their families must abide by. And, you know, it has to, you know, he mentioned the things in the packet. We have to have a letter from that school principal or vice principal. And one of the things that is very important is the schools must be recognized by the Ministry of Education.
Yes, NACOB. Yeah.
Okay, so nobody could come and say, well, that child came from that other school where that happened. No, as long as your school is registered with NACOB, you're good to go. And that principal or vice principal
recommends.
They recommend
endorsed your application, you're good to go.
Are we seeing it get more difficult every year, or are we losing the quality, or you see the quality improving?
Well, I see the quality improves because, again, the schools are now fully aware of what we're looking for. So they're able to actually prepare their students earlier. And so in some schools, you see that there's a sharp difference in what they would have produced, say, 10 years ago versus now, because they know the criteria. And so they know that the student has to be well-rounded and not just one-dimensional. And I think that that has caused the whole competition to elevate.
Right.
I seriously would never want to be a judge in this competition because you're really you're judging between the best of the best.
Yes.
And I think one of the things that we really looked at and we strived for, and since 2018 we've achieved, sometimes there was a little disappointment in the nominees in that they didn't all get a monetary award towards their continuing of their education. And so one of the things that I vowed when I did become chairman in 2012 was that we were going to reach to a point where every child would get at least a minimum of $1,000 scholarship.
Every child?
Every child, and that is happening.
And since 2018, we have realized that goal. In fact, to date, this year, we have $255,000 worth of scholarships.
Wow.
Every student of all 118, everyone at least a minimum of $1,000 scholarship.
Absolutely
Let me give them the breakdown.
Yes,
Let me give them the
please do.
breakdown. 28 nominees will receive a $1,000 scholarship. Now, just to be clear, this is not pocket money. This is not money that takes you to the store or bubble gum.
Just directly going to the education.
Exactly, and we need evidence of that. 28 nominees will receive $1,500.
Wow.
22 nominees will receive $2,000 in scholarship. 11 nominees will receive $2,500.
Wow.
17 nominees, you want to be in that top 17, will receive $3,000 in scholarship.
huge.
And in addition to that, they all walk away with an electronic device, either a computer or a tablet. So that is one of the reasons why the competition is so fierce, because it's not something where you simply come and walk across the stage.
And the top winner
money.
receives what?
The top winner.
A $7,500 scholarship.
That's
And I didn't even
and
finish.
a laptop.
So we got the one nominee will receive $3,500. 5 nominees will receive $4,000. 4 nominees will receive $6,000. And as Van Dyke said, our top runner will receive $7,500. The winner, the student of the year for 2026. And we could not do any of this without the support.
I was about to say, in order to do this, you must have corporate Bahamas.
And individuals. Yeah, I'm a former director and a former parent. And I am so happy to see my little nominee made a presentation this year. And those are the kinds of donations that we depend on so that we can help and incentivize.
And you know, Clint, we've come a long way. For instance, this year, our 4th runner-up will be receiving a $6,000 scholarship.
Wow.
In 1998, and this is going back to someone who's on our executive team now, Mrs. Tankisha Pinder, she would have been the 4th runner-up in the 1998 program, and she got an ice cream cake. And so
look how far you've come.
So look how far we've come.
Look how far you've come.
And to see that she is now an active part, you know, she's our VP of Communications and Programs. And so she's now on the executive team, again, showing you the power and the impact of this program and the legacy that it's really impacting and going forward.
And so, of course, on Saturday, I know it's going to be aired live on ZNS Television Network, beginning at 5. Is it 5 o'clock on Saturday?
4:30.
4:30. You'll get to watch it on the ZNS Network, because you know people will be paddling into the Diplomat Center. So if you can't get it there, we'll have you covered on Saturday. What can people expect?
Well, people can expect a showcase of the best and brightest, the who's who among primary school students in the Bahamas. This is the premier organization for that in the Bahamas, and you're going to see some of the future leaders of this nation. You're going to see some world changers that are just at the 6th grade level, but they're embarking on a new chapter, a new milestone in their lives, and you're going to see them being encouraged to be the best that they can be. All of our nominees are winners, and that's one thing that we also try to inculcate into the parents, because you know sometimes we can get into that competitive mode and whatnot, but all of our nominees are winners. And so we're going to see that on Saturday. We're going to see a lot of excitement. We're going to see the rewards of a lot of labor for the students as well as for the parents, proud parents and school administrators and all who will be there to join in such an auspicious occasion. And it's a labor of love.
Well, I got to cut you there. I already gave you extra. They about telling me off, so I got to cut you. But we definitely look forward. We're happy to be a partner and being able to do this with you. Congratulations on another successful year.
And thank you, and ZNS, and thank you, ZNS, for partnering with us.
Our pleasure.
Truly amazing.
Thank you. That does it for the rundown. Be sure to stay locked on the ZNS Network for the Bahamas tonight at 11. It's the final newscast in the country with the latest news and information with Royston Jones, who's in the building now getting ready for the 11 o'clock news. For all of us here at ZNS, I'm Clint Watson. Thanks so much for joining us. Good night, everyone.
Fort Montague, I'm Opal Roach. This is ZNS.
Welcome to Business Blueprint, where we guide entrepreneurs through the building blocks of business success, one step at a time. I'm your host, Jeffrey Beckles, and today we're entering the world of technology and innovation, which are two essential tools for future-proofing your business. Many small businesses hesitate to adopt digital solutions, but those that do find themselves more competitive, more efficient, scalable, and globally accessible. Joining us today to discuss how technology can transform your business is Alive's Business Director for B2B Sales, Javier Bo, Senior Sales Manager of Customer Relations at Sapodil Bahama Solutions, Alessandro Major, and SBDC's Innovation Manager, Blair Evans. Thank you all for being with us on our show today.
Thank you.
Javier, most businesses in the Bahamas tend to shy away from digital solutions and adoption. We've seen what COVID has done. We've seen the lessons learned from that. But where are we in terms of adoption nationally?
Jeff, it's a good question. So the main thing is educating our customer base. A lot of them are not aware of the opportunities that are out there for them and how it can help their businesses. And so it's our job to educate them and let them understand how it can make their business thrive and take them to the next level.
But nationally, though, how have you seen the trend? Are we taking advantage? Are we accelerating in our total adoption? Where do we stand on a national basis?